All right, I'm currently on the phone with Julie. She's another musician that reached out about the interview series. So I'm going to go ahead and give her the chance to introduce herself.
Hi, my name's Julie Earle, and I'm a musician. I think I came out making music. My current project is called Manuka, but I also do some solo type things. And we just released our album on vinyl, which has kind of been a bucket list thing for me. And I just found out that we're going to get a radio play on NPR on Detroit local station. So I'm really super excited about that, and I'm sitting here packing records to ship them out.
Awesome. So with these interviews, I always like to kind of figure out how somebody first came in contact with music.
I think I truly knew by age 3 or 4, I was playing Rockstar and teaching myself how to play the piano that we had in our home. And I was singing it at school, kindergarten, first grade. By third grade, I wanted to star in Annie, like the other little kids that I had seen do things like that. And I was in pretend bands, listening to the radio, just immersed in music from the very beginning.
Okay, and with that kind of connection, how did you kind of make your first steps into music as a whole?
I spent a lot of time, I'm older, and I spent a lot of time recording things off the radio and making perfect mixtapes and figuring out what sounds they were making and what I really liked, and writing lyrics. I would write their lyrics. I would write my own lyrics. I was sounding out things on the piano. And in 7th grade, my best friend and I decided to start our first band. It was called Rete, and we both played acoustic guitars. I talked my mom into buying me a guitar, and I also played the oboe for quite a long time. And I had a lot of really good music teachers in school, in junior high school and high school, who really encouraged me, to do the musicals and to be in the bands. And my friend and I were trying to write our own songs, and I wanted to be the next Debbie Gibson for a minute.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I was going to ask, you mentioned oboe. Typically, that's kind of like a concert band type thing that people get into at that age. You don't really hear too many, kids saying that they want to grow up and play the oboe.
My mom used to take me to musicals, and I remember hearing an oboe solo in a musical that she took me to. I believe it was Fiddler on the Roof, Sunrise Sunset.
Okay.
And I just thought it was beautiful, and I told my mom I didn't want to play the flute or anything normal, and I got private lessons.
Okay, so you didn't actually go into like concert band or anything like that? You did do that all on your own, of your own volition?
Oh, I did that of my own volition, but then I joined band and I moved up. I was always in concert band, a cappella choir, whatever, extra choir, show, honors choir, things like that. I did the musicals. I was always doing something with music, and I was fortunate enough to go to a high school in Ann Arbor called Community High School that was really focused on the arts, and everybody had a band. And I had one of my classes was jazz band, and we would tour the state and sing in gymnasiums of other high schools. So yeah, it was just lots of art and music everywhere I looked.
Okay, so tell me about how that continued after school.
Well, I was in some bands right around the time I ended high school and the first year after. And I would say there was some high school aged Fleetwood Mac drama. And I quit music completely. And I moved away to Kansas and just gave up music completely, but I never gave up listening to it. And then I kind of went on, I got a degree in social work, and I work in education with teenagers. And I ended up, I went to a lot of shows, and I took pictures of the people in the bands, and I wanted to know them. And I went to every local show and would befriend bands, send them pictures. But I started taking pictures of their equipment. And I sought out a lot of local music and obscure music, and I read blogs, and and then I met a guy who was doing music, and he got me a guitar and kind of said, "You should be doing this again." And pushed me and encouraged me. And then I just, one day I started writing. He got me all the stuff I needed, and I just started writing songs, and it went crazy. Like 20 years of songs just poured out of me.
That's cool. So, did that happen shortly after high school? I'm not sure I caught when you connected with that person.
There was like a 15-year gap.
Okay, so that was a significant
Where I
amount of
wasn't,
time.
I was,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, it was a significant amount of time. And, I wanted to get back into it. I was a radio DJ, and I
Hmm.
played music for people, and I just hung with music people, but it took some encouragement to get me to pick it up and try to do it again myself.
How would you describe like your relationships with musicians, like as a DJ?
Oh, I did anything I could to get close to musicians, and there was another guy who was on the same college radio station, and he had his own show, and I thought he was just like the most amazing dude, and he was in a really popular band that was playing the Hard Rock Cafe and things like that, and he was listening to my show and told me that I played better music than he did, and we started hanging out. And he's actually on my record. He's part of the Manuka Project. He's the most talented guitar player I know, and I knew it from the second I met him through the radio station.
Okay, so let's move forward. At some point you were encouraged to start pouring out all of these songs. At what point did you kind of decide that you wanted to kind of refine them and then turn them into the project that you're working on?
I started out immediately feeling like, wow, I write good songs, and I was getting some affirmation. And um, so it was a matter of learning how to use the equipment for me, learning how to use Logic and the different refining how to use my pedals, and relearning how to play instruments and things like that. But I put out a 5-song EP about 2 years after I started recording again. And that would have been about seven years ago. My timing is a little off sometimes, but it was called Beach Life. And listening back, it's not as good as I wanted it to be. And I even took a song off of that and put it on this album. Um, but after listening to that and going through the process and doing it, I wanted to get good at it myself, so I didn't have to rely on other people. And so I really, really spent COVID just writing, and learning and writing. And I worked very, very hard to learn everything I wanted things to sound like, that I begged other people to help me do, and I couldn't do myself. I just wanted to be able to do it all so I could get the music kind of out of my head.
So was that 5-song EP that you did not this current project that you're working on, that was kind of just ramping up to kind of get things going?
Yep, exactly. Yeah. It was I was impatient, and I wanted to get something out just so that I could feel like I did it.
Sure, sure.
And not keep focusing on the same thing over and over and over again. I had more in me that I wanted to do, and I wanted to do it better. So I'm still proud of it, but it's nothing like this one.
Okay, so let's bring it up to where you are now. Tell me about the current project that you're working on, and what that's about.
Well, I during COVID, my mother passed away, and I started that really just kind of I channeled everything I was feeling about the isolation and the passing of my mother, and just kind of how dark the world was. I wanted it to be brighter, and I channeled all the emotion into the music, and I just learned. I spent every hour I was stuck in this house just learning everything I could do and trying to get better, and really feeling these songs. But there were some things that I'll never be as good a guitar player as my friend John from high school and college. So I sent him the files, and he's like, "Oh, I want to play on this. These are good." And he added some stuff, and then my 7th grade bandmate Tony from 7th grade Debbie Gibson days got on and played some piano and some bass and sent it to me, and I put it together. And then I reached out to a friend of ours to produce it, Joe Geisey, who was amazing. And I just wanted something on vinyl that someone could find in in a bargain bin someday and pick up like I used to do. I used to dig through those bargain bins, and I wanted someone to dig through it and think this is really cool and listen to it and like it. That I wasn't really trying to be a rock star. I just wanted to make music and get it out there.
Sure. I mean, that's completely respectable. Yeah, vinyl these days is definitely making a comeback as well. So, I mean, it's entirely feasible that they'll find it, just on the shelves and not necessarily in the bargain bin.
And I have a thing about record stores. They need to exist because that's where I found all of my people and all of my music, digging through those bins. And I think vinyl's cool. I have an absurd record collection.
Sure. I completely relate to that. Just today, I was going around to guitar shops looking for, just, small no name guitar shops because I feel like there should just be a bunch of those around as well. So I was just trying to support the local
Yeah.
guitar shop scene. Awesome. Very cool. So, obviously, you've been doing music for a long time. What are some of the memories that you have that, stand out and keep you motivated and want to keep you, putting vinyls out?
I remember playing my first show with a band. It was it's really interesting because we played this place here in St. Joseph, Michigan, which is like between Chicago and Detroit. And it was this little psychedelic place, but there was a really good headliner, and just being on stage and actually doing it. And we did a show at the New Way Bar, and they were just my first two shows, and it was the most incredible feeling just to be up there playing in front of other people. That really stands out. Um, and honestly, actually picking up my records recently from Archer Pressing and actually having my own record on vinyl. And then back to just playing with my friends in middle school. I can still picture us just sitting there writing and writing and writing, and it's just all I've ever. And seeing bands, I went to Riot Fest, and I had an artist pass because I'd gotten to know quite a few other musicians, and I got to see all the shows backstage and take pictures of their equipment and see how they were like really doing things and making it happen. And I was backstage right behind Echo and the Bunnymen, and I thought I was going to die. And Faith No More, and just all these bands that inspired me. And I just got to be there up and close with them. And then Lou Barlow ended up coming and playing. My fiance owns a pizza place here that's becoming a music venue, and Lou Barlow came and played an acoustic show here just about a month ago, and we started having an MVV Lightbody came through, and so now we have a venue that these artists can pass through and play at too, and it's just everything is music, and I'm so happy.
Excellent. All right. Well, where can people find the material that you're putting out? If you're doing like digital releases as well, or they can follow you on social media and figure out where you're stocking your vinyls at.
I'm pretty easy to find. I'm working on getting better at social media, but I am on iTunes and Spotify and all the streaming services. The album is called Beat Up Cassettes, and the band name is Manuka, like the honey, Manuka. I also have a YouTube channel, but I'm Julie Earle, but I post a lot of solo things and other things I'm doing there. And I'm Julie Earle and Manuka on Facebook and Instagram and all of the places. So either one of those will direct you to me. And I appreciate anyone who just has to listen, and that's all I care about.
For sure. Absolutely. All right. So I always like to give the person I'm interviewing the chance to put out their final word. So a message you feel people should hear.
It is so important that bands support other bands. Don't play a show and not stay and meet the other artists and learn from them and watch their sets. Don't go off and drink. Really take your time to network and go to other bands' shows and buy their actual records. You have to support local music so it doesn't go away. Streaming does not pay artists. We have to support them and listen to the pretty music. It's inscribed in the inside of my album. Listen to the pretty music. It makes the world a better place.